Hey, you guys. Hey there. I hope that you're having a fantastic Wednesday. It's already the middle of the week. I hope that you guys can join me. If not, then maybe you're catching this later on in the day when you can actually take time out to watch it. Okay. But I did want to jump in and give you all count them, 1, 2, 3, 3 keys to webinars that convert, okay? And I'm going to be taking your questions if you're on here live. All right, that's the benefit of being on live. I'm going to give you guys 3 keys to webinars that convert. Hey, Deborah B., how are you? So glad you could make it. So glad you could come on in. We are talking webinars because guess what? It's Webinar Wednesday. Yeah, it's Webinar Wednesday. So I'm going to be giving you all some keys to webinars that actually convert. Hey there. Hey there. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. It's actually storming here in Atlanta. And yeah, it's kind of bad here. So I'm trying to get in all my scoping and all of that before the lights and internet and all that kind of good stuff goes out. All right, so go ahead and grab a pen and a piece of paper because we're going to go ahead and jump right on into it, okay? So we're talking about 3 keys to webinars that convert. And why is this important? Because webinars are one of the most amazing, awesome sauce ways to convert people into your courses, into your products, into your services, whatever it is that you're selling. Maybe it's a coaching program, whatever it is. Webinars are a great way to do that. But you know that, right? Because you get so many webinar requests in your news feed, right? So you get them in your news feed, you get them in your inbox, you get them everywhere. Everybody is trying to get you to go to their webinar, right? Well, there's a reason for that, and that is because webinars are a great way to convert your audience, okay? And if you're wondering what I mean by convert can mean more than just money. All right. So conversions, yes. But most people think if you get a conversion, it has to do with money. Yes, that is one way to convert. But really, conversion is about anytime your audience does something that you've asked them to do, okay? So anytime they actually do something that you have asked them to do, that is a conversion. So sometimes you're asking them to pay money, right? So if they actually pay you money, that's a conversion. But sometimes you're asking them to get on your email list, or sometimes you're asking them to meet you somewhere or come somewhere, right? So I asked you all to meet me here at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for this talk about 3 keys to webinars that convert, right? So I asked you all to do that. So the fact that you all actually came on, those of you all who are on live and you actually did what I asked you to do, that is called a conversion, okay? And it's the same thing for you. Hey, Elaine. Hey, 1%. How are you, honey? Thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate that, okay? You are killing it, by the way. I am so proud of you, Elaine Forbes. You are totally rocking it. And I could not be more proud of you. Oh my goodness. I mean, seriously, you are really doing a daggone thing. So I just wanted to just kind of give you a public shout out there because you're doing an amazing job at your conversions. All right. Your conversions, putting things out there for people to actually purchase. So we're talking about specifically using webinars in order to convert people into your programs, your courses, and so on and so forth. So let me give you the first thing. The first tip that I'm going to give you, the first key that I'm going to give you to a webinar. All right. This is where you've actually created a webinar. You're inviting people to come to an online event. All right. It's a virtual instructor-led training. That's like the technical long word for it. But I give you that because I want you to know exactly what's in there is exactly what's supposed to be happening. It's led by you, the instructor, in a virtual manner. So that means that you're not actually there present with the person and you are teaching them something. Okay. So a webinar is a virtual instructor-led training, okay? So I want you all to keep that in mind, because a lot of times people don't realize that on their webinars, you really do have to teach people something, okay? It's not just about selling your product or service. You really do have to actually teach, okay? And that is really important, really key, okay? So let's talk about what you need to be doing while you are on that webinar in order to increase your conversions, to make some conversions while you are actually on the webinar. So the goal is this, right? So you've got a goal, you've got a number in mind in terms of how many people you want to actually convert into your program, your course, whatever it is that you're teaching. You want people to convert into it. So when you set up your webinar, you should always have your end product in mind. What is it that you want them to do at the end of your webinar? Remember, this is about conversions, right? So what is it that you actually want them to do? Do you want them to buy into your coaching program? Hey, Glendora. Hey, nice to see you. Hey there. So it's storming here in Atlanta. It is storming like crazy. Yesterday and today. All right. So I'm trying to get it in before the lights go out, you know? So remember that you want to keep your end product in mind. What is it that you want them to buy? Is it your course? Is it your coaching program? What exactly is it? Okay. So you're going to set your webinar up with the end in mind. Okay. So with that, I wanted to give you all that backdrop, that sort of foundation for your webinar. So the first key to a conversion webinar, one where you're actually going to sell on that webinar, is it needs to be sticky. Okay. The term is called stickiness. You know, you'll hear it called several different things, but I like sticky because I think that it says exactly what you want it to do. So what I mean by you want your webinar to be sticky is that you want people to stay on your webinar, because guess what? You can't offer them something if they've left already. All right. So you want to create some stickiness on your webinar that will encourage and incentivize the people who showed up to actually stay on your webinar. Okay. That's your goal. If people come in and they leave, it does you no good. Okay. So in order to make your webinar more sticky, in the beginning of your webinar, you are going to let them know that if they stay until the end, that you have a bonus for them, that there's something that they're going to get. You're going to reward them for actually staying on the webinar. Okay. Try to make it an irresistible offer to where they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to stay. Like even though Scandal is coming on and, you know, the kids are hollering or whatever it is, I've got to stay on this webinar because I want to know what she's offering and I want to know what the bonus is. What do I get for staying on here live? Okay. So so that's creating stickiness. So in the beginning of your webinar, you are going to let them know that there is an incentive for staying until the end. Okay. Does that make sense? Everybody get that? All right. So throughout your webinar, you are going to continue to re-emphasize that stickiness. Okay. So you're going to say something like, so maybe 15 minutes in, I usually do it maybe like every 10 or 15 minutes. I remind them about their bonus or their gift or their surprise or whatever it is, however you want to phrase it, if they stay until the end. So I'll say something like, remember you guys, I've got something for you. So make sure that you stay until the end so that you don't miss out. Okay. You got that? All right. So you guys are going to, number one, make sure that your webinars have some stickiness to it. Make it sticky. In other words, make it such that people would want to stay on that webinar. Okay. That's number one. That's key number one to a webinar, a conversion webinar. All right. Number two is you are going to share your story. All right. So sharing your story is a great way, an awesome way to convert. All right. Because people want to connect with you. People want to know your backstory. Now, here's the key. You are not going to spend all day talking about your story. They don't care that much, okay? Not that much. They just want to know your backstory. Like, how did you get into this? And why is this so important to you? Why is this such an amazing thing that they should be interested in? So tell a bit about your story, your backstory a bit, okay? So don't forget to do that. A lot of times people jump right into the content without talking about themselves, all right? So I just want to remind you to do that. It's really, really important. Okay, especially for that know, like, and trust factor, because remember, at the end of that webinar, you're going to be asking them to do something. Okay, so if people are going to do what you've asked them to do, they have to feel like they know, trust, and like you. All right, so part of that is helping them to get to know you, and that might be a little bit uncomfortable for some people, but listen, you don't have to share anything that is uncomfortable for you to share, and you don't want to share too much anyway, because the point is not to drive people to tears. The point is not to make them feel sorry for you. The point is not to make them do anything other than get to know you a little bit in the context of the story that you're telling and the webinar. Okay? That's number 2. That's key number 2 to a conversion webinar. All right. Number three. All right. So number 3 key. Now we had Course Tech Tuesday yesterday, but I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about your technology when you're doing your webinars. If you're going to do a conversion webinar, which is what we're talking about here, you've got to make sure that your technology is on point. Make sure that your technology is right. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So a lot of people use the platform Zoom, which is totally fine. You can use Zoom for your webinars, okay? But just remember that Zoom has 2 features, okay? You can either do it has a meeting feature, and it also has a webinar feature, a meeting feature and a webinar feature. Okay, so you can do Zoom meeting or you can do Zoom webinar. So I want you all to choose the webinar feature. It's going to cost you a little bit more money, but you can use their webinar feature, or you can use any meeting. There are lots of webinar platforms out there. The important thing to note is that when you are doing a webinar for a conversion, you don't want a lot of distractions. You cannot have distractions. This has got to be about leading them to your course. Okay. So therefore you have to cut down the distractions and opportunities for people to sort of cut into your webinar with ridiculousness. Okay. So let's talk about this. So I want you to make sure that you're actually having a webinar and not a meeting. A meeting is when they see you and you see them. They see you, you see them. Okay. So you've probably been on lots of Zoom meetings where you can see the facilitator. The facilitator can also see you, right? All right. That's no problem, but that is not for a webinar. If you try to use a meeting platform for your webinar, you are going to find that people are doing anything and everything other than listening to your presentation and your offer. That totally defeats the purpose. It's going to cut into your conversions, and you are not going to have a sticky webinar because people are very easily distracted. Okay, so they're going to be on your meeting, on your webinar, looking at the person over there. They're picking their nose. This person is over there. They're beating their kid or hollering at their kids. Hey, Yasin, nice to meet you. Hey, look at me. I know you. Hey, thanks for coming in. How are you? How are you? All right. So we're talking about webinars that convert. All right. So we're talking about the difference between a meeting and a webinar. So we do not want meetings for conversion webinars for that reason. Okay. If people get on your webinar and they're doing lots of other things, like looking at other people, they're chatting with other people, hey girl, hey, how you doing? And all of this, that is not watching you. Okay, does everybody understand that? Does everybody get that? Everybody clear about that? Your conversion webinar is designed for you to lead people to your offer. All right, so you're going to cut down on the distractions. You are not going to allow people to chat, okay, amongst themselves. They've got to be chatting with you. So in a webinar platform where you are converting, what you have to remember is that you've got to make it all about you and what you're offering. It sounds selfish, but I'm telling you, when you do a lot of webinars and when you're trying to sell your products, you have to be a little selfish when it comes down to the actual webinar. Okay, this is not a meeting where everybody's sort of sitting around, chewing the fat, meeting everybody. It's not that. It is a learning opportunity. So they are coming to get something and you are going to give something. So everybody's going to get something. They're getting the content that you're giving that's going to be amazing. And you are getting an opportunity to give them an offer at the end of your webinar. Make sense? So in order to do that, and in order for it to make sense, you have to actually have the right platform so that you decrease the distractions, and so that it can really be all about you and that amazing offer that you have for them at the end. Okay. So let's review and let me know if you all have questions. I will answer them right here live. Thank you for the hearts, Deborah B. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Coupon Fanatic. All right, so let's review. All right, so number one. All right, so we're talking about keys to webinars that convert. All right. When we're talking about conversions, we're talking about webinars that actually sell your products. Okay. And if you guys are interested, I have an 8-part series, an 8-part video series on webinars that convert in the Copycat Corner. Okay. So if you're not a member of the Copycat Corner, you can head on over to copycatcorner.club. Maybe somebody can put that in the chat for me if you have time. It's copycat with a K corner.club, and that's where you can join. And the 8-part series that I have and how to actually conduct a conversion webinar is in the Copycat Corner. So if you want that whole series where I break down every single step, how to tell your story, how to present your offer, all of that, you can join the Copycat Corner. Okay, it's only $24.99 a month. You can join today and get access to it today. All right. So let's continue our review. Number one, you want to make sure that your webinar is sticky. Okay. That means making sure that you encourage people to stay on your webinar. Number two, you want to share your story so that you can continue to have that know, like, and trust factor so that people can get to know you. It's a short period of time, relatively speaking. So you definitely want people to get to know you a little bit by sharing your story. Okay. That's number two. Number three, you want to make sure that your technology is right. Okay. Make sure that you have the right technology for a webinar where all eyes are on you. Okay. All eyes are on you and your offer, because that's what it's about. Converting people into your courses. That is what you're doing. Okay. Did that help? By the way, I know it's coffee with cat. I actually already drank my coffee. So here's my shameless plug for the Copycat Corner. Here you go. Shameless plug. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. So if you want a copycat, you can join the Copycat Corner. Okay. There's my shameless plug. All right. All right. So if you have any more questions after this, be sure to leave me some comments below. Very helpful. Very good, Deborah. I'm glad it was helpful. This webinar, this video will only be available for the next 24 hours. So hopefully you guys catch it before it gets taken down. All right. All right. So I hope this was helpful. Leave me your questions and I will be happy to answer them. All right. Take care, you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.